Like any other crop, wheat also has got different disease, pests, and weeds that affect the productivity. If you don't work with the right prevention method, disease can cause major damage, especially wheat. In the world, in 1971 and in 1992, in the world, the disease called leaf rust has made a global complete destroy of wheat crops happened. And during those years, the wheat price in the world increased 5 times because of most of the wheat produced in Europe, in America, in Australia was completely wiped out by leaf rust and stem rust. These are international major dangerous diseases. You will see it as we go. So the type and prevalence of wheat disease, pests and weeds vary in different growing agroecologies and location, both for rain-fed and irrigated wheat systems. The wheat disease is not like COVID. COVID is happening all over in every place at the same time, yeah? But wheat disease in the irrigated and in the rain-fed areas, in the highland and lowland, they vary in terms of intensity. So in science, the best way to control disease is using integrated pest management technique. Integrated pest management technique, or IPM, is an effective ecologically friendly strategy that involves combination of cultural, biological, and chemical control method to lower the infestation and damage caused by weeds, insect pests, and disease, and ensure higher yield benefit that exceed implementation cost. So when we control weeds, disease, and pest in our wheat field, we apply the so-called integrated pest management. It involves resistant variety, one. Second, cultural method. Cultural method could be early planting or late planting or crop rotation. And the other is chemical application. So we don't only apply one, we integrate 3 of them to make sure that we control the disease not for one time but for a longer time sustainably. Very good. And this guy, what you see him, he is IPM, Integrated Pest Management. He applies all the technologies together. Okay, let's come to wheat disease. Wheat disease represents a major constraint in almost wheat growing environments of the world. In all parts of the world, wheat disease is a major problem. You know, disease is for any crop, even for human. So, among the most challenging diseases include rusts. Wheat rust, you know, can you see here? Wheat disease are effectively controlled through the use of integrated disease management strategy. But in the absence of appropriate control measures, you can see this disease can cause 100% yield loss. These are very dangerous diseases. If we don't control them, we harvest nothing. So it is very important when we grow wheat in Africa, we make sure that we control this major disease in order to protect effectively. What did I say to protect? I said we use integrated pest management technique. It has got 3 major components. One is resistant variety. We use resistant variety, like our heat-tolerant varieties. They are resistant varieties. Second, we use cultural method, like early planting. If the disease comes late, we plant early, or like crop rotation. We don't grow wheat after wheat. And the third, if the disease is still there, we apply also chemicals. So we apply 3 integrated approaches. I think you have to know this, very important. But you have to know that the disease, if we don't control, we apply fertilizer, we make the seed, we make all the effort, but the disease can wipe out everything. To 100% you lose. Look here, these are the different symptoms. Let me introduce you, since some of you are your first time for wheat. Sorry, I have to show. Look here. Can you see? This is a leaf. This is complete resistant variety. You see? Even if the disease is there, the plant by genetic makeup will control the disease. These are moderately resistant. You know, the disease is there, but the plant is trying to fight by its own. That's why you see yellow. You know, they surround the disease with yellow color, not to allow the disease to expand. So we call this moderately resistant. When you see wheat field, if you see like this, the wheat is resistant. Even if the disease is there, no damage. Wheat by itself genetically resistant. Like our heat-tolerant varieties. If you see like this, the plant is trying to fight, trying to block, like the way when we have COVID. Some of them we become successful, yeah? Some of them we don't, even if COVID is there, we become negative, yes? And the other very susceptible one is, you know, the disease grows very fast. And if you don't control, the disease grows like this, you see? It covers all the stem. You see? When it happens like this, the plant will die. So these rusts are very, very dangerous. They destroyed, as I told you, in 1970, 1992, over 300,000 hectares in the world. Look how this is completely affected, but the resistant one like this. And this is also a good comparison, a resistant versus a susceptible variety. So if, you know, the most important thing when you grow wheat, you have to ask if the variety is resistant to major disease. You know, this is very much affected, but this is very clean. Is it clear? Okay. So, as I said, integrated disease management, use of resistant variety, and cultural method, especially there are some plants which carry the disease. So we have to remove them from wheat farms. Seed treatment and fungicide application. So we integrate resistant variety, cultural management, and fungicide or chemical application. And there are a number of recommendations you have on your brochure, all the details. Let us come to pests. it's not only disease. Like any crop, wheat is also affected by different pests. Insect can be a major cause of yield loss to wheat growers as a result of direct feeding as carrier of disease. Some of the major wheat pests, among others, include aphids. I think you know aphids, yes? Termites. I think you have in French termites, yes? Maggots and cutworms. You know, usually cutworms you treat by the seed with fungicide. So cutworm is the one which is cutting the stem of the plant. African armyworm, very dangerous. You know, last year African armyworm destroyed a lot of maize production in Africa. Have you heard about it? Armyworm is a very, it goes in very much in group, and they destroy crops, and they destroy also wheat crop. African bollworm, rodents, and red-billed quilla birds. You can see these are the aphids on the leaf. If we don't control, they will kill completely. These are very dangerous birds. Cutworms, very dangerous also. Needs very much strong control. This is also a very dangerous, which later on developed into a full-fledged cutworm. So as you can see, they have symptoms. I put it also on your brochure. This should be controlled. And I put all the recommendation how to control. Cultural method control, chemical recommendations are available. So don't worry, if these are happening, there is a very good control measure for wheat. But the good side, our heat-tolerant wheat variety, they have genetic resistance for most of the disease. Very good. And the other important, which you know it, is weeds. There is one saying, normally. For example, if you have maize plant in the sorghum field, it is called weeds, yes? Do you agree? If maize is growing in the sorghum field, also maize is good, but it grows in an unwanted place. So we call it weeds. So it must be removed. Weeds reduce wheat yield and profit by competing with the crop for moisture, light, space, and nutrient. If the weeds are inside our wheat farm, they compete our fertilizer or the nutrient, they compete for water, they compete for sunlight, and also they are a source for transferring disease. So weeds should be controlled. Our wheat field should be clean. Yield loss and harvest problem caused by weeds in wheat varies depending on the weed species, wheat population, time of emergence, growing condition, and status of the crop. There are different types of weeds, as you can see. These are very common weeds in wheat farms. Very common. And wheat control is very simple, but we need to control. One is cultural method. We have to remove by hand. Second, if the crop is also, and there are effective chemicals for different kind of weeds. You can get it in the market. These are very proven chemicals that can destroy the weeds without affecting the wheat plant. And you have all the information in the wheat brochure. So you can give very good recommendation when you go home, when you teach, when you communicate to expand wheat production. You have a very good information to give recommendation for weed control, for disease control, and for insect pest control. So in summary, let us put it together. What are the major disease, insect and pest? I think you have good understanding that if you don't control weeds, if you don't control disease, if you don't control pests, we cannot get the yield we are aspiring 5 ton, 6 ton, impossible. And to summarize also, the best and effective way of control is called integrated pest management, IPM. Both for weed control, both for disease control, and also for pest control. What are IPM? Integrated pest management is 1. Use of resistant variety and clean seed. 2nd, use of cultural method. The 3rd is use of chemicals. But chemical control is the last option. First, if you can't control, we control with resistant variety. 2nd, with cultural. But if the disease is still there, we apply chemicals, and all chemicals are recommended. But why do we use integrated pest management? Why chemical control is coming at the last? Is there anyone who can explain why we want to be careful? Because unless it is a must, we first try to control weeds, disease, and pest using resistant variety and using cultural method. That is why integrated pest management is the most important. With the first priority is resistant variety and using clean seed. The 2nd is cultural method. But if 2 of them are not properly controlling, we go for limited spray of chemicals. Is it clear? Please.
I wanted to say that one of the reasons
of IPM or integrated pest management strategy. The first thing is to control our wheat farm is first prevention and suppression. Prevention is adoption measure to reduce the chance of occurrence of wheat disease, insect pest and weeds. Suppression is reducing the impact of the pest. Prevention can be done by applying different techniques, including crop rotation, where it would break life cycle of the pest, and use of adequate cultivation technique, good seedbed preparation, soil depth, density, and conservation agriculture. You know, the first is always, instead of getting infected and take treatment, is better to avoid, yes, the disease. For example, if you grow every year, weed after weed after weed after weed, some of soil-borne disease, they continue to stay because they get all the time weed after weed. So in order to break this cycle, we have to use crop rotation. For example, we grow wheat, then after rice. When rice is coming, the soil-borne disease, they cannot infect rice, so they will die out. And the second way of very good integrated pest management is monitoring. A good farmer, a good extension agent, should monitor the wheat field regularly. For example, if the disease starts at early stage, controlling will be very easy. But if you don't go, if you don't control, if you don't see our field, the disease will grow very fast, and as a result, when we apply, it is too late for the crop. So first is prevention, second is good monitoring of the field is important to make a decision at the early stage. The third is decision making. When we go in the field and when we see something, we have to take decision to make action. For example, if the disease is only in a few part of the field, we just remove by hand, so that we block for the disease not to spread for others. So not only monitoring, after monitoring, the most important thing is taking decision for immediate control measures. And the fourth is non-chemical method. As I said, we don't go for chemical immediately. When we take decision, we usually take cultural method. Cultural method means if the plant is weak, we make management in the field so the plant will become strong by providing good irrigation, by providing fertilizer on time. The plant will become genetically strong and they will resist the disease. Second, we use cultural method by hand, by bringing people in the group together, so we remove, so we block the spread. The same for pests. If you see, for example, aphids in our field, if when you see in the field, in one or two places, you have to remove by hand. So you don't go for chemical immediately. And so the fourth one is when we make decision, we usually take first not for chemical, but how do we control culturally before the disease spread very fast. Number 5, if the disease is not stopped by cultural method, we go for chemicals. But what we do, we select which one is a better chemical. And when we select chemical, we usually see chemical that is not dangerous for human, that has no long persistence effect on the soil. So we have to make selection of chemicals. A chemical which is very good but less environmentally damaging. Decision is very important when we take this. And the 6th is anti-resistance strategy. I can focus on anti-resistance strategy as unmanaged and haphazard use of pesticide have created a problem of resistance. Maybe technically, anti-resistance strategy means it's not difficult, don't worry. For example, if there is a weed, very dangerous weed in our wheat farm, you know 2,4-D chemical? Is there anyone who knows 2,4-D chemical? Have you heard? It's very good for this control. Yes, 2,4-D. If you spray to the weeds, it kills the weeds. But every time, next year also, if the weed comes, if you use 2,4-D, and the third year, when the weed comes, if you use only 2,4-D, what will happen? The weed is natural. They will adapt the chemical and they start to develop resistance. So it is always advisable to use different chemicals for one type of weed. Otherwise, by nature, be it plant or animal, when you expose to one chemical frequently, they start to adapt, and that chemical will not control after some time. Is it clear what I'm saying? So it is very important when we take decision that we always don't use one type of chemical against insects or weeds or pests. That's why I gave you list of different options. And the 7 important step is we evaluate. Are we successful? First, by prevention. Second, we evaluate, are we successful by cultural control method? And the third is, which one of the chemical, cultural, and prevention method is effective to rust disease or sectorial disease? So we evaluate our intervention. This will be a very good lesson for us to apply for next year. So these 7 steps are very much useful if you are a wheat farmer. Or I expect you, I expect all of you when you go back next year, you start, even if you have land, to start with farming. And also when you advise, these 7 stages of recommendations are very important to grow with sustainably and profitably. Is it clear? I think now you have as good knowledge as I have about wheat. Okay. Thank you very much. What is the different way of utilizing wheat, and what kind of wheat is good for what crop, for what food types? Worldwide, wheat is mainly used as bread. For example, in Africa, as I told you, Africa, a total we produce around 80 million metric tons. Of this, we import nearly 60 million metric tons of wheat at a cost of $15 billion from Europe, America, Australia, and in India. Most of the wheat that we brought from other parts of the world, we consume mainly as bread. You agree with me? So the major food that we use, or while we grow or import wheat, is to use as bread. But it is not only for bread, as you know. And I will tell you different types of bread. The second is we use also noodles, spaghetti, macaroni, and you know that there are a lot of wheat-based products, even porridge. We make a very nice porridge out of wheat flour. Cookies. Every supermarket you go, if you go to the shelf, you get all packed cookies, yes? And now Ramadan is coming, even you can very well notice that the supermarkets are full of cookies. You agree with me, yes? After fasting the whole day, we start. Thank you, thank you. So our major, let me introduce to you the 3 types of wheat bread that we use in Africa and across the world. The first is, we call it a flat. How many of you do you know this is a flat bread? Do you use in your home? This one is a flat, homemade, popular flat bread. In this case, we don't use yeast. We usually bake at home. We call it flat bread. The second is steam bread. Bread which we use with yeast and we bake bread with a steam of water. This is mainly very popular in Asia, like China, India, but also in Africa. I have seen many countries now. This is also steam. Have you ever eaten bread made of steam? It's very easy. You know, instead of making bread with electricity or fire, you bake bread with steam of water, hot water, with the steam. Very soft, very nice. So that we call it steam. The third one is leaven. This is very common. I think we have even our lunch. This is the most dominant. This we get Africa 98%. So these are the three major forms across the world. And the most dominant is the popular leavened bread. And you know, this is very popular here, I know. What do you call it the name? Baguette. Yes. Very good one. Yes. So, but baguette coming from France is not good. Yes. Baguette coming from Africa. Yes. Baguette coming from Niger, Mali, Mauritania, Cameroon. Why not? We have the variety, we have the technology. And that's why we need to build a consortium. You know, if you believe in it, we can make it. And you know, any variety, when we release any variety in the organization that I'm working with, ICARGA, International Center for Agricultural Research in the dry areas, when we release heat-tolerant varieties with the national programs in Africa, there are important parameters. The protein content, the gluten, and the grain hardness. Yesterday, some of you explained soft wheat, hard wheat, soft and hard wheat. You know, it's not only the yield that is very important. It's not only the disease resistance. When we release variety, we test the variety for different bread making qualities. Is it good, soft wheat? Is it good for cake, cookies, or is it good for bread making? Is it good for spaghetti, macaroni? We test based on these important parameters. I think you can very well know some of the bread are very nice, yes? But if the variety is not good, the taste is also not good. Thank you. Okay. You have question? Thank you. So the protein content is the most important quality for a good bread. It should be in all the time above 10% minimum. The higher the protein is the best quality. It is very crunchy, very tasteful. So the market, if you go based on, you know, the market varies for the crop based on the good bread making quality. In Europe, when you go to supermarkets, all wheat is not the same. They say this wheat is with a protein content of 13%, a very good high quality, so you pay a good market price. We want to bring also this in Africa. Because people, you know, if a farmer produces a good quality, he should get good market, yes? All wheat produced shouldn't be the same price. So this is also one of the things that we need to introduce, because even if we work hard, even if we produce wheat, if it is not making a good bread, there is no market. There is no market. So, characterization of the food habits and testing the quality from the varieties are very, very important. Some of the wheat varieties, they don't make good loaf bread. Look here. This is a loaf weight. You know, when you bake bread, do you know the so-called gluten? In the protein, we call it gluten. It takes buff. Some of them, they don't buff, you know. So the variety have big difference. If we cannot compete with the poor quality. So all variety released, the heat tolerant, they are tested for all these characters. Otherwise, they will not be released as variety. Even if high yield, very good yield. Even if resistant to heat. If they are resistant to disease, it is not enough. They must show a good quality in grain quality, physico-chemical quality, and bread parameters. I am sure if you go to the shop and if you see very, contracted bread, you don't buy. You buy for a bread which is good loaf, very crunchy, and very good color, yes? So that's why at the end of the day, you get such a good quality of bread. It is because of the variety. So quality parameter of good bread making quality, good baking quality are very important parameters. And in Africa, we have very good varieties. Africa is rich of natural resources, and our varieties developed here in Africa with varieties, they are competent to the wheat varieties in other parts of the world. And they are making very good bread.
What is the moisture content for storage?
I will come.
Okay.
I will come. Changes to yellow. It's very clear, yes? That is, but only change color is not enough. What you do is, when you harvest, your question is coming. When you harvest, the moisture content should be between 18 to 20%. During harvest, or the other test is when you go to the field, you take from the heat, and you take a wheat grain, and when you try to cut it, if it is cut into two parts, then it's mature. But when you try to, this is a very good, practical checking method. If it is not cutting immediately, you need some more days. The temperature is above 20% of soil moisture.
Il y a la longueur de la particule. Quand vous regardez, quand les 2/3 de la particule sont devenus jaunes, ça veut dire qu'il y a la maturité physiologique qui est atteinte. Vous pouvez remarquer.
It means that it is right.
As I said, that is one of the criteria. But what you do, you just go, very simple technique in the world. You go, when that is, you take one from the center, and you take the teeth, the grain. If it's cut and separate immediately. Ready. Ready. And to do that, don't do in one place, because just take it. Sample, you know. When you see that, you know, I studied in America, in Europe. This is what we do even, you know, there. That's the best, easiest way. And when you measure the moisture, there is a moisture sensor. The temperature, the moisture will be between 80 to 20%. Therefore, wheat should be harvested as soon as it is ready to harvest to avoid build-up of insect in the field, and should be dried thoroughly before storage. After harvest, you don't have to keep in the store. You have to dry. I will tell you which temperature should be the best temperature to store. There are different methods of harvesting. In Africa, it's very common now with the hand reaper. You know, small scale farmers, they use hand reaper. They use sickle. And, you know, nowadays it is also becoming very common. Farmers rent from private sector using, in Sudan, Ethiopia, very common, you know. Even farmers with 1 hectare, they rent. It comes, you know, all farmers, they rent together. They finish your 1 hectare maybe in 25 minutes and finish. And you pay. Right to 13% moisture before storage. We cannot store the one which we harvest immediately to the storage. No. We have to take it and dry it. And drying is very easy to expose to the sun. Or if it is a combined harvester, we don't put it immediately in the container. We let the grain to dry up to 30 degrees or 30% moisture content. Otherwise, it will have a lot of bacteria and molds which affect the quality of the grain because of the moisture content. When it reaches to 13%, that is a perfect stage for storage. Then when we store, we have to store, if we don't sell immediately, we have to store with insect-free container. These are very successful. You know these bags? You know these bags? They are tied to insect. No insect can damage it. You can store for 8-9 months without any insect damage. Otherwise, weevils, you know weevils, yeah? They are very dangerous. Weevils in French is what? Very dangerous that eat the grain. Yeah. But with this storage, nothing can attack it. You can keep it anywhere, it is free.
J'ai vu l'utilisation en Maradi des sacs. Vous savez, Maradi, c'est la zone de production des niébés. Et c'est les sacs qu'on utilise pour la conservation des niébés. On ne les utilise pas pour les mines. Parce que, comme j'ai dit à l'époque, Il y a des sacs plastiques dedans, et c'est qu'on voit là ici, là où c'est mentionné fixe, c'est le troisième, et qui sont hermétiquement fermés. Mais pour le blé, pas pour le blé, pour les mines, on utilise un seul sac, il n'y a pas de sac plastique. Et ça, c'est ce qu'on fait à Maradi. Parce que j'ai fait plus de 15 ans à Maradi, j'en sais quelque chose.
The heat tolerant variety and the potential of Africa and the method of wheat production. We talk about land preparation, we talk about the seed, we talk about the fertilizers, we talk about the chemicals, we talk about the harvest. But there, you know, some of you asked me yesterday, very important question. Is it profitable? Because at the end of the day, all what we discussed, all what we said yesterday, today, if it is not bringing money to the farmer, there is no chance for the wheat to grow in Africa. And the improved varieties, the heat tolerant varieties, they can be adopted by millions of farmers in Africa if our farmers are making money out of it. If it can bring a change in their income, in their livelihood, by adopting the improved heat tolerant varieties. For that, really, I want you to very well focus on this part of the discussion. This discussion shows this is an average data across Africa. How much we spend to grow wheat, starting from the seed, planting, all the management, harvesting, and selling to the market. How much I spend and how much a farmer gets if you become a farmer. If you advise a farmer, you have to tell the farmer all these expenses and whether he make money out of it. And this data is pulled from many countries. So, we call this cost-benefit analysis. And this is the convincing power for a technology, be it wheat or maize or sorghum. If anyone who is not showing you this data, no chance, useless. It cannot be promoted, it cannot be taken to farmers. Because what we want is our farmers to be rich, to have good income, to adopt the technology, so that they make money to send their children to school, so that they make money to have a decent housing, so that they think that tomorrow is better than today. That's why technology is a driver for transformation. So even we include, if any one of you, if I want to get a land, there are expenses that are very important. At least 10 major expenses that a wheat farmer should do. Number one is, a farmer may not have a land, so what he should do is, he has to make a rent per hectare. And the second is cost for land preparation. He may not have a tractor, but he has to rent a tractor. The second is, he needs a good seed, a quality seed. Seed of improved varieties, heat tolerant varieties. And the fourth is the fertilizer. The fertilizer, he needs for urea, he needs for phosphorus, nitrogen, phosphorus, and in some cases potassium or sulfur. So we calculate the cost. And the other is he will spray for herbicide, for weeds, or for disease if it comes for disease. Minimum he will spray for weeds. And the other is irrigation. You know, he doesn't get water for free. Through water association he has to pay. And the other is before harvest he has to buy sacks. You know, we say, as we discussed yesterday, with improved varieties, with all package, our farmers will get a minimum of 4 tons per hectare, we said, yes? So he has to buy 40 sacks. We calculate that. Then he has to also spend money for harvesting. He has to rent a machinery. A machinery to harvest and get his wheat yield from his farm in 1 hectare. So we calculated all this, and on average 1 hectare of wheat for a farmer here in West Africa or East Africa, he needs at least $545 per hectare as expense. And if he gets 4 tons per hectare at the cost per ton, he will sell it close to, on the average, $1,600. This 1,600 is not a profit. He made expense from this. So the net profit will be around $166 per hectare. I think for a good farmer getting $166 or 66% of the total is a good profit for a farmer. This is a good profit not only in Africa, even in Europe, in America. It's a very good profit. In Africa, even much higher because the cost of living is not as high as in Europe. And this makes farmers encouraged. If a farmer makes from 1 hectare $1,065 as net income, this farmer can really send his children to school. This farmer can really have a better life. This farmer next year can expand his wheat production to other places. He will look for even more areas. He will rent more areas. He will expand wheat production. So this analysis shows that wheat has a future in Africa. Our wheat farmers, even small-scale farmers, only with 1 hectare, they can make good money. If a farmer has 5 hectares, you can imagine he gets $5,200 net income. If he has got 10 hectares, he's a rich farmer.
Cette partie est très importante pour que le producteur puisse avoir une idée sur ses dépenses et son intérêt. J'ai essayé de fouiller dans les documents qui sont mis à notre disposition. Je n'arrive pas à trouver cette partie. Où est-ce qu'on peut trouver cette partie? Parce que c'est très très important. Merci.
If it is not in the document, I will make it available for you.
Donc, si ce n'est pas dans le document, je vais vous remettre ça.
Yes, I will make it available in the document because this is the most, at the end of the day, this is the most important aspect
Parce que pour moi, c'est un aspect
to make agriculture as a business.
pour donner
And this is how you convince also yourself and all
le sens des
the people in your area to invest on wheat production.
Et c'est
Yeah.
également à partir de ces calculs.
And I will leave all this presentation for you. All the presentations.
Ils sont donnés pour arriver à un certain rendement.
Yeah. Any question on the productivity?
Autre question sur les autres activités que nous avons vues.
So now you can very well clearly, speak with confidence. Wheat is producing wheat is a profitable business. Market is not a problem in Africa because we are already importing over 60 million metric tons. Every country is importing. There is no problem for market. And tomorrow morning, when we come, please come 8:30 with more energy. What we discuss is how do we take this to make impact on the ground. This is a very successful approach. That is what we discuss.
Nous allons faire donc la dramatisation.
Because only looking at this is not enough. How do we take this to farmers? There is a proven successful approach. We call it innovation platform approach. So from 8:30 to 10:30 we share this on this, and then thereafter we will split into groups, and you will be the one now become the teacher to show how far you understand, and we share knowledge, and by the end of training tomorrow you will be a good wheat expert to communicate to others with complete knowledge, and I'm very confident on that. We can discuss, but tomorrow I want to stop with this cost-benefit analysis, which is very important. Tomorrow we will continue the next, but if you have some questions, some clarities for the coming 15 minutes, I will be very happy to show you. But in the meantime, let me add you one triggering factor. Let me take you that I am very confident, I'm very optimistic. Together we can make a major impact in Africa in a short period of time. Why I am saying this? As I told you, 3 years ago in Sudan, we started with 100,000 farmers. We had a similar training like this. Farmers convinced with the demonstration, private sector, government, financial issues, they convinced. In 3 years' time, from 2018 to 2081, the wheat area increased from 100,000 to 350,000 hectares. It is difficult to believe, but this is a reality. It happened not because farmers are only interested to grow it, because wheat production is profitable for them. Not only for the farmers, profitable for financial issues, profitable for flour millers. The same has happened in Ethiopia. In 4 years' time, the wheat area increased from 20,000 to 400,000 hectares. So I'm bringing the experience to this West Africa. instead of importing wheat from France, France is the largest wheat importer also in Europe, or Britain, or Canada, or America, if you really adopt and promote this, West Africa become a major wheat producing countries in Africa. And we have successful experiences happened in Africa as a model that we can expand. Today is the last day for wheat. Now I make a presentation which is painful for all of us, but a painful that we have to change. That we have to change from the current painful situation to a new agricultural transformation phase in Africa. And this is what I am presenting to you. Yes, we can. Today, as you know, in Africa, being an agriculturalist or our farmers, which are accounting nearly 70% of the African population, are small-scale farmers, are poor farmers. African poverty is deep-rooted in the rural area. If we don't change agriculture, we cannot change Africa. We cannot create a better future for our children. As you know, many of you, I studied in Europe, in America. I saw agricultural people are the rich people. There you see people who are farming are enjoying the best life. Why not in Africa? I think this is a good challenge, yes? You agree with me? So what we discuss is now today, we have to look at the way we do things, the way we do business. As we discussed the last 2 days, we said, not only for wheat, it is also the same for maize, rice, sorghum. We have technology in Africa. We have technologies that can transform the productivity from the current low level to high level. But we need to do things differently than the past. This is what I'm going to discuss with you today. In the coming 1.5 hours or so, you can stop me anywhere in between and you can ask questions. And then, as we discussed yesterday and before yesterday, I will give you a group work. And this group on this line as one group and the other as one group. And you exercise.
We have done the group.
Okay, good. You do the exercise just to understand how far you got the wheat package or technology package from the last 2 days discussion. And you make a presentation by your own after that. And this will give you the chance to empower you, to understand you, so that we share experience, knowledge, and by the end of the day, all of us will have the same level of understanding. That's okay, yes? Good. Let us start now. If you see the title, Wheat Innovation Platform. IP means Innovation Platform. Wheat Innovation Platform Approach and Partnership Platform for achieving a transformative impact at scale. And it says the challenge. What is the challenge today? What it takes to shift African agriculture from subsistence to wealth creation. How can really make agriculture a business, not a way of living? So far, the way we do is not taking us anywhere. But with the right technology, with the right policy, with the market, and with the skill and knowledge, if we work as a team together with partnership, we can change the scenario. The central development question for transforming agriculture in African countries is how to catalyze a more competitive, equitable, and sustainable agricultural growth within the context of a small-scale production system. Within the context of limited use of modern agricultural inputs and mechanization, limited access to finance, inefficient agricultural marketing, inefficient investment by the private sector, amidst degradation prone to natural resource base. This is a challenge we have today. Our farmers, they use very little amount of fertilizer. If you see the average in Africa, we use 9 kilogram fertilizer per hectare. If you see Asia, they use 120 kilogram fertilizer per hectare. You can compare, average one. If you go to Europe, they use 170 kilogram nitrogen per hectare. That is the difference. That's why the low productivity Africa is, if you take wheat, it is 1.7 ton per hectare. If you go to Asia, they get 3.3 ton per hectare. If you go to Europe and America, they take 6-7 ton per hectare. But our farmers, we cannot expect to get 7 ton per hectare from 9 kilogram of fertilizer on average. So this is one of the challenges. It's not only for wheat, it is for many crops that we are growing in Africa. Our farmers do not have access to finance. They have no money to buy fertilizer. There is no financial institution who give credit for farmers. And even if our farmers get credit, there is no market. Our farmers, when they produce, they don't have access to take to market. So they are discouraged. That's why our farmers are poor. The infrastructure to the rural areas is very poor. Electricity is not available. Water is not available. And with this, if you see, 70% of African people who are agriculturalists, they are living under severe poverty. If they are poor, all we are poor. And life will be expensive in the cities. So we have to change this. When you change this, we have to do business differently. There are 4 important factors to bring change. As I said, 1, political commitment. Our government should take agriculture as #1 priority policy action. If we don't feed our people, we will not have young generation who are physically strong, mentally strong, who can take over the responsibility of Africa in the future. So political will is #1. The second is our farmers should have access to technology and should have access to finance. The third, our farmers should have the skill and knowledge to adopt improved technologies. And the fourth and most important is, if farmers produce, what do they need? They should get market. If these 4 things are there, believe me, our African farmers can be as rich as the European or American farmers. And for this, we all should work as a team together. We should work with policymakers. We should work with market providers. We should work with input providers. And we, as extension people, we should train and build the skill of our farmers to adopt the technology and to make agriculture from way of subsistence to agriculture as wealth creation. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. And I just want to add, from the world's potential arable land, 60% of the land is available in Africa. Yeah. And so, with all what has been said, if you really bring all stakeholders together, we can change the face of Africa, as very well said by the coordinator. Yeah. Look, what is the problem today? You know, if you see from here, you know, we need to a collaborative arrangement that brings together several stakeholders along the wheat value chain, working together to a desired change in a commercial mode for achieving a transformative impact at scale. If you see today, policymakers goes this way, farmers goes this way, there is no alignment. We are not working for a goal that we want to change agriculture in Africa. So we have to change our partnership model. We should have a common goal. And our policymakers should be committed to transform agriculture. If you work together with the same vision, we can achieve. But if you continue business as usual, one goes this way, the other goes this way, no chance for success. Farmer alone cannot change the transformation. Today, many of the technologies, including wheat technologies, are available, but they are not in the hands of the farmers. Why? Because we don't work as a team. The seed producers are not producing sufficient amounts. Farmers have no access to finance, as we said. And farmers are not getting the right policy support. And no market for farmers, those who produce good agricultural crops. So, if we don't align, we as a team, no success can be achieved. So what is innovation platform? Innovation platform, as you can see, for example, if you want to transform wheat production, all stakeholders like us, we should come together to plan together. The farmer, the policymaker, the financial institution, input providers, the flour millers, Ministry of Agriculture, the research institutes, all should come like this house together. We should plan together. We should work with clear responsibility. And we should have a common plan where to reach from this year to next year in the coming 2-3 years. If we don't sit and agree with clear plan, And if everybody is not taking his responsibility from the common plan, for common vision, we cannot move anywhere. It is very important to look at farmer, input provider, seed producers, financial institutions, Ministry of Agriculture Extension System, the research institutes, and policy makers, and the manufacturers, those who are processing. We should come together and plan together with clear task sharing so that we plan together, we implement together, and we evaluate success together every year. If we do that, if each of us are doing this, we can make a major shift in a short period of time. So partnership is a key to success. Because this approach, IP approach, leaves participatory diagnosis of problems. We will discuss what are the problems for wheat production. The group will say, and the group will discuss also what are the solutions to solve this problem. And once we agree the solution, we plan together. For example, in Niger this year, if wheat production is 20,000 hectares only, and if we plan for next year to increase the wheat production to 40,000 hectares, then we say who should provide how much fertilizer is needed and who is going to supply that. Which area of the country should be area for wheat production? And who is training our farmers? Which mechanization center is helping farmers to prepare their land? And who is the input provider who will be bringing all the inputs, fertilizer, seed, and reach to all farmers? And who are the extension agents who give training, knowledge for the farmers? And at the end of the day, when the farmer produces, who is buying this wheat to the manufacturers? If all of us sit together here, like this, all stakeholders, if you plan together, and if you take responsibility with the same vision, we can make a difference. We can solve our problems. But if you plan individually, farmers alone, policy makers only in the ministry, his input provider is just doing his job separately with no common vision, agriculture cannot be transformed. That's why this kind of innovation platform, all are coming together, is key for success. Is it clear? If you have any question, you can ask me anywhere. This is a very important concept. The Asians, they changed their country with this approach. In Africa, this approach is now showing a very good success in some countries. But we have to make this approach to work for all countries. And you should be the change makers. We have to work together. And for this, we need to have a consultation, you know. We have to engage farmers. We should have discussions on the plan, on what we want to do. And we have to agree that the only way to success is to work together. Yes, thank you.
I want to say that I discovered that there is a challenge in Africa.
Il y a un défi en Afrique.
And that is, sorry to say, challenge of policy makers.
C'est le défi des hommes politiques.
Which is not connected with the leadership of the continent.
Qui, les Africains n'ont pas une plateforme au niveau continental qui parle ensemble, qui décide ensemble.
The only thing available for Africa to develop is agriculture.
Et c'est ce qui manque aujourd'hui, cette harmonie pour le développement de l'agriculture.
I don't know how we can begin to chase technology, and I don't know how we can meet the Western world. It's possible, but it's not in this century. But then, if it is agriculture we have now, I'm of the opinion, that if there's something like a Central African Development Bank, if our leader can also come up with something like an Africa Agricultural Development organization, or maybe forum, something like that, which will not be so, which is not going to be racial, tribal, or maybe there's nothing like maybe the issue of my country or that will be central to developing agriculture.
Parler donc de leur pays en tant qu'entité individuelle, mais que les gens vont parler.
So that every energy and strength will be utilized to make sure that African agriculture is developed without bias.
Je pense que nous pouvons utiliser les technologies.
That may be the solution to this issue. Or else, Nigeria will be thinking of how it wants to develop its country.
Le Nigeria est en train de penser à ce.
Other countries will want to be thinking of how to develop their country.
Mais le Nigeria le fait isolément.
Yesterday, I was moving from here to from Dosso to Niger. I saw vast land. Nothing is happening there. The natural resources are beginning to. Nothing is happening there. So sometimes one will just want to be weeping and crying for this country, for this continent. If you look at those people that have been stampeded, looking for jobs in Europe, in Asia, in the Arabic, other countries of the world, in France, the so-called Africans, youth migrating, looking for jobs. But if these things are there, because agriculture is a business today. If there's a particular forum or something like maybe Africa Agricultural Development, say something like we have an Africa Development Bank. Let us have Africa Agricultural Development something that the whole Africans will come together and establish that all the states will contribute to develop agriculture. In the next 5-10 years, we'll see the difference because the youth will be able to get this, all this we are talking about. The youth will get it quickly. All the platforms, the money, the fund, the policy will not affect them because it's strictly for this particular thing. That is my take.
Thank you.
Ici, vous savez très bien que vraiment c'est ça qui fait défaut. On n'a pas c'est pas qu'on n'a pas suffisamment de l'eau. On a de l'eau souterraine, mais c'est la mobilisation qui pose problème. L'exode qui pose problème. Les eaux de surface, on n'en a pas assez. On n'en a pas assez. Et les pluies aussi, vraiment, ces derniers temps, avec les changements climatiques, vraiment, et bon, ne répond pas aux attentes des producteurs. Donc vraiment, ce n'est pas qu'on ne peut pas cultiver. On a suffisamment de terres, mais c'est l'eau. Et pour mobiliser l'eau, ou bien pour les systèmes d'exode, développer les systèmes d'exode, que ce soit éolien ou bien...
And the appropriate policy also.
Donc il faut vraiment l'implication des décideurs politiques. Comme le coordinateur régional a eu à le dire, il ne suffit pas de dire dans des discours à l'agriculture est une priorité, mais il faut qu'on ait du concret sur le terrain. Donc les discours là, il faut les transformer en actes concrets sur le terrain. Donc c'est ça qui nous manque. Et à travers la BAD aussi, je pense que, comme mon voisin vient de dire, vraiment c'est de voir par zone ou bien par région en Afrique, quelle est la spéculation qui est favorable et d'intensifier ça. Parce que les différents pays de l'Afrique n'ont pas les mêmes conditions écologiques, donc ce n'est pas toutes les spéculations qu'on peut produire. Donc c'est de voir, comme son nom l'indique, Banque africaine de développement. Donc pour développer, vraiment il faut développer l'agriculture. Et pour développer l'agriculture, il faut aller par région écologique et intensifier les spéculations qui sont favorables. Okay, merci.
I very much appreciate and I want you to interact like this. But let me tell you one very, very good news. Let me tell you one very good news. This meeting is part of the discussion. There are now a lot of discussion happening at the African Development Bank and at the head of state of African countries now. There is a very good environment which is now created by the African Development Bank because we cannot let this season to be lost without starting the transformation we want to happen in every African countries. So what I'm telling you, let's put, yes, a very good minute from this meeting, because this meeting is also arranged by African Development Bank to create sensitization and to create awareness of all stakeholders. But there are many similar awareness creation, planning, and also engagement of countries is happening as we speak now. So be very optimistic. There are good conditions are coming for Africa. And Africa Development Bank is playing the role to coordinate countries, to support financially, to support agriculture. But you have the role. What I don't agree with you, don't undermine your role. You have a big role when you come back to really communicate, because already the communication is happening at the higher level in your respective countries. And the second thing, now technology is not a barrier. Any technology can come from one country to the other country without any blockage. And the bank is ready to finance African countries. But you should play, and we all should play with our role. You are a PIDACC participant from your respective countries. You should go, when you go, please sensitize also, play your role. Don't give the role only to policymakers. Already the sensitization is happening in each country. And let us play, and that is the purpose of this training. That's why all PIDACC member countries are coming together. And we should also keep the network. We should learn good success stories from one country to the other. Believe me, time is now for Africa. There is nothing to lose hope. There is a great hope ahead of us. We have the land, as you have rightly said. We have the technology. We have the sun. We have the water. We have the people. And good success stories are happening in each country. There are very good examples, but we need to make scale. And look at this picture, you know. You are here not only to hear and go. If you see, this is a platform. These are, as I said, different stakeholders. Farmers, seed producers, financial institutions, Ministry of Agriculture Extension, and the input providers, the millers, all should be together in policy makers, local government council role. You don't undermine, you can role in play, trigger, to push agricultural transformation in any way of doing business. If you don't plan, together, if you don't have a common vision, if you don't share ideas together, no matter how the Africa Development Bank is injecting money, transformation will not happen. We have to sit together, discuss the problem together, find the solution together, and in the last 3 days we said we have technologies. We have the people, the farmers who are ready to work. But if you don't play the role to bring actors together, because everybody wants to make money. Here, they are not coming for contribution. They are coming because they are beneficiary. If you plan big, the input provider will provide input, the seed producer will produce seed, the financial institution will give credit, and with good production, they get profit. The manufacturer, they are here because they get huge supply of wheat, they manufacture and sell. The policy maker is here to create favorable environment for all stakeholders to work together. The research institute will be there to provide training, capacity building, and access to technology. So this kind of partnership is the way to succeed. One partner, one stakeholder alone cannot bring change. So our way of thinking about agricultural transformation should start from this. That's why I'm saying it with priority interventions that are required for successful implementation of innovation platform. The first one is current advocacy campaign and sense of urgency on the current needs and opportunities for a wheat transformation by raising the potential of available proven wheat technology among cross-section of stakeholders and policy makers. And there are no better people than you really to trigger this, to come up with a good minutes of this meeting and to be the champion, to reach and sell this idea to policymakers and stakeholders in your respective countries. Already, the sensitization and the work of Africa Development Bank with all African policymakers, Minister of Agriculture, is taking place, is happening. So the environment is there now. You are not taking new ideas. Already, the communication and the plan is going on. And this is time for changing African agriculture. But don't undermine your role. You have a big role and responsibility. If you take this only for sake of training, for coming, staying here, and going back home, we cannot see the change we want to see happen. Is it clear? Thank you. I like your interaction. I appreciate it. In the discussion, second, identify policy that constrain or reinforce technology development, technology deployment, innovative financing, private and public partnership, towards developing the value chain. In this meeting, we challenge and ask our policy makers to really create a policy that will bring all stakeholders to work together. Starting from input provision, production, processing, marketing, all actors together. And the third is very important. We develop a clear vision and roadmap. Where do you want to reach in Niger from this year in the coming 4 years? Where do we want to reach? And we develop a clear roadmap with annual targets, a strategy which all stakeholders will work together. If we have this clear plan, the Africa Development Bank is ready to support countries. They are already sensitizing and working with the country. But if you don't have partnership, if you don't have plan, if you don't have vision, how come the bank can support us? Because at the end of the day, implementation is at local level. So this is what we need to create, we as a PIDACC member, to play this sensitization role. And the fourth important thing is to formalize this innovation platform. To formalize this innovation platform at the country level, where ministers and all stakeholders will come together. At the state level, where the state governors and all stakeholders will come together. And at the operational level, where the activities are actually taking place. So this innovation platform, look, this should be created at the national level with policymakers, high policy level, at the state level with the state governors and all stakeholders, input providers, seed producers, financial issues, research organizations, extension organizations, and all manufacturers should be also. And the service at the implementation side also, all stakeholders should work together. If you create this platform at 3 levels, all stakeholders together, believe me, the change we want to see happen will happen in a short period of time. So this platform is very important, where the stakeholders will sit together, will plan together, will implement together, and will evaluate together. By bringing all actors in input provision, production, processing, and marketing. Is it clear? And at the end of the day, when we are ready to implement, we have to inform our farmers. We have to communicate and brief farmers the importance of clustering together. Farmers cannot work separately. They should cluster in the farmer organization to scale up technologies at large scale. And farmers, if we create this platform, they are very much willing to work, because working together, they will get input on time, they will get seed on time, they will get extension work on time, and they will get good market if they work together. And this is actually experience in different African countries. Look, these are different interactions which is happening in different parts of Africa. And we give training for farmers in the field on seed preparation, land preparation, irrigation management, weed control, fertilizer application, harvesting management. We train farmers right on the field where the activity is done. And these are the key activities, as I already indicated. And the most important thing, once we implement together with a good technology, we organize Farmers Field Day to really promote the good success stories. So that when farmers see good things, they can easily adopt and it will expand like bushfire. So we start from a demonstration, and the good demonstration if you usually show even women, they really want to be out of poverty. No farmer will like to stay in poverty. So technology can make a difference and can really create opportunity for our farmers to adopt and increase the production and productivity in a short period of time. These are field days. You know how farmers are participating and how farmers are really. And look, women are also actively participating and they work with their husband together. So the success story is happening in Africa. And we can duplicate this in PIDACC countries. So I just want to mention from this experience, you know, it's not only a theory what I'm talking, it is a reality which is happening already. I want to mention, just as I said yesterday, some impact success stories happening last year, before last year, and in the past 3 years. And I really want to bring two countries as good example, but such success is already now. For example, in Nigeria, His Excellency President Buhari, the minister, just 2 weeks before, I was there, and the African Development Bank president was there. Nigeria is planning to grow wheat in 500,000 hectares in the coming 2 years. The same meeting is being arranged in Niger, in Mali, Mauritania, in your respective countries. But you have to play the role as well as a PIDACC member countries. You should come with a good report and reach out to the respective Bureau of Agriculture and share your experience and be part of that important meeting which is going to take place. Now, because of the crisis in Ukraine, in Russia, a lot of activities happening in African countries to really come out of this import dependency. Look, because of the intervention, for example, if I tell you in Sudan, from 100,000 hectares, now the hectare increased in 3 years to 300,000 hectares. This is happening because of all stakeholders are planning together, implementing together, and they are promoting the wheat expansion, the wheat transformation as a team at the local level, at the state level, at the national level. This can happen in any country. So transformation is possible in all African countries. This is not, you know, they reduced wheat importation by 50%. They saved $476 million, which they used to spend for wheat importation is now saved because of domestic production. If Sudan is making that, why not in Niger? Why not in Mali? Why not in Mauritania? Why not in Nigeria? Why not in Cameroon? Why not in Senegal? This is what we are saying. It is not a miracle that if one African country is doing, it is possible that all African countries can do it. It is not an example from Europe or America. It is not an example that happened 10 years ago. This is what is happening in the last 3 years. And the bank is willing to support African countries. Our policymakers are not ignorant now. They are very well sensitized. They are very much willing to give support. So let us take this advantage, I'm saying. This is an advantage in time for Africa transformation. Thank you.
Ce que moi je recherchais, c'est quoi? C'est que dans un pays comme le Cameroun, où un producteur va te poser la question, attends, le blé, il regarde d'abord ce qu'il peut manger, ce qu'il peut vendre là. C'est ça d'abord sa priorité. Le blé, quand tu vas commencer à lui parler du blé, on va dire, mais attends, ça se transforme où? Pour que j'ai la farine, pour que je mange ça, peut-être la saison dans 3 mois là, est-ce que c'est possible? C'est pour ça que je dis, qu'est-ce que la banque actuellement, nous sommes en formation, tout ça, nous disons les statistiques c'est bien, mais maintenant qu'est-ce que la banque peut faire de façon immédiate, de façon urgente? Est-ce qu'il faut peut-être mettre une plateforme en place pour permettre aux autres de commencer? Ça veut dire quoi? Pour commencer, il faut faire des études de sol, il faut déjà commencer peut-être un centre expérimental. Hein? Qui peut nous engager, nous qui sommes dans la salle? Hein? Si on peut présenter que l'Éthiopie avait, dans 3 ans, ils ont remonté la pente à un producteur, je ne sais pas ce que ça peut lui dire. Est-ce qu'il peut manger le blé dans 3 mois? Vous ne pouvez pas le convaincre. J'ai dit ce que nous pouvons faire, retourner dans notre pays, ce que nous pouvons faire d'abord pour implémenter, ça veut dire pour commencer, la base. C'est quoi? Identifier d'abord les parcelles sur lesquelles le blé peut pousser. Hein? Et là, je pense que la banque peut peut-être donner des financements pour qu'on identifie déjà des zones sur lesquelles on peut et mettre en place d'abord des petites plantations. Et vous montrez les images ici tout à l'heure que les champs de blé devant les producteurs. Chez nous, ça n'existait pas. Nous, là, est-ce qu'on va rentrer, créer un champ là, pour dire que non, venez voir le champ de blé? Non, c'est ce qu'on peut faire, c'est ce que je demandais. Donc, je dis toujours, je réitère que je n'ai pas de doute sur notre capacité à transmettre les rapports, à faire des propositions de projets, mais pour le bas échelle là, il faudrait qu'on développe une autre stratégie.
First, let me respond to him. I think don't undermine the capacity of Cameroon. There are very good discussions already going on. The bank and the Cameroon government. The wheat area is very well known in Cameroon. The wheat potential area is very well known. What is needed is to create the platform of stakeholders. The bank is creating, but it is not only the role of the bank, the role of your country, the role of you yourself, not only talking to farmers, talking to policymakers, talking to private sector, and participating in the platform. Very important. But already, the bank is working with your country, and the wheat area is known where the potential is available. And the stakeholders are already being identified. But you, as member of the PIDACC, you should also play the role in this partnership. So this statistics is not only good, it can happen also in Cameroon. You have to believe in it. Don't believe that this is a statistic from Sudan is like Cameroon. No exception. Yeah. And a good environment is now being created with the bank and policymakers to really look at and transform agriculture by bringing all partners at the national level together. And what I am saying, you have also a role to play.
Ok, merci. Donc, c'est pour répondre un peu à ce que notre camarade nous a posé comme question. Donc, moi, je pense qu'ici, nous sommes là en tant que les États membres de l'ABN, et plus précisément, je vais dire, sous couvert du PIDACC. Donc, avec les programmes PIDACC, je pense que tous les États là ont presque des infrastructures à réaliser pour mobiliser de l'eau. Et autour de ces infrastructures, il y aura des passages pour les cultures irriguées. Et je pense qu'au niveau de ces parcelles-là, on peut aménager une petite superficie là où on peut cultiver les bleus et qui va servir de démonstration pour nos producteurs. Donc, pour commencer à les sensibiliser là où on ne pratique pas encore la culture du blé, je pense que c'est une opportunité et c'est un cadre qui est créé pour nous pour qu'on commence à appliquer les différentes technologies qu'on est en train d'apprendre ici actuellement en ça. Avant que, en attendant que nos décideurs politiques ne prennent pas leurs décisions pour nous accompagner.
Cet atelier est une opportunité pour nous tous maintenant d'avoir un argument solide auprès de nos décideurs aujourd'hui de s'intéresser un peu à la culture du blé, dans la mesure où nous constatons tous avec la guerre de l'Ukraine avec la Russie, il est extrêmement difficile aujourd'hui pour les pays d'avoir de la farine. Alors, je sais effectivement que les préoccupations de nos producteurs locaux, ce n'est pas essentiellement le blé dans la mesure où beaucoup de ces pays ne dépendent pas de la farine, alors du pain. Comme en Guinée par exemple, notre nourriture principale c'est le riz. Mais tout le monde sait aujourd'hui que ce conflit russo-ukrainien devient un choc pour tous les grands décideurs. Donc, c'est une fois encore un moyen pour nous de venir faire des propositions concrètes à nos différents gouvernements pour qu'ils puissent s'intéresser à ça et faire de ça une priorité, la culture du blé, faire de ça une priorité. Comme ça, comme le formateur l'a dit, tous les acteurs en tout cas qui sont impliqués ou qui seront impliqués dans la culture de ce blé peuvent se réunir dès lors que le gouvernement en fait une priorité. Il pourra mettre les moyens à la disposition des producteurs, cibler les zones, cibler tous les acteurs, ainsi commencer à faire cette production. Je pense que c'est déjà une façon pour nous d'avoir un argument de plus sur le temps. Je vous remercie.
Non, c'est celle-là notre rapport.
Oui, mais il faut qu'elle
Une des premières minutes de la variété là, la variété tolérante à la sécheresse, à la sécheresse, à la chaleur, c'est que ça supporte une température de 40 degrés. Ça peut produire dans des conditions de chaleur jusqu'à 40 degrés. Ça peut supporter.
Le groupe is answer and take note. Directly. After that, we present. Is it okay?
Non, est-ce qu'il a anticipé? Est-ce que c'est des questions qu'il a
Non.
C'est ça les 4 D'abord, la variété est de la 40 000. La variété produit 4 tonnes, de 6 ans. Mais quand on va les dater, on s'assure que les gens
on a dit les questions 5 minutes après la libération. Non, nous aussi,
Régional. Bonsoir, chers collègues. J'ai l'honneur de vous présenter les résultats des travaux du groupe qui a été constitué par le Burkina Faso, la Côte d'Ivoire, la Guinée et le Mali. Donc, il s'agissait de faire, en fonction des directives que nous avons reçues du formateur, une synthèse de tout ce que nous avons eu à apprendre sur le compact maïs. Voilà, donc, sur le compact blé. Donc, nous allons présenter les technologies qui peuvent être utilisées avant la mise en place des parcelles. Donc, au niveau de ces technologies, il en existe une qui est relative à l'utilisation de variétés de blé résistantes à la chaleur et à la sécheresse. Quels sont donc les avantages que nous pouvons avoir en utilisant ces variétés? Comme premier avantage, nous avons une augmentation de la production de blé qui peut aller jusqu'à 4-6 tonnes à l'hectare contre 1 tonne par rapport au blé traditionnellement utilisé. Nous avons des variétés résilientes au changement climatique et donc qui peuvent être cultivées dans des zones où des températures vont jusqu'à 38 degrés. Il faut dire que ces variétés possèdent également une qualité de cuisson et de broyage industriel supérieure. Nous avons la maturité précoce de ces qualités et leur résistance face aux maladies telles que la rouille et aux insectes, etc. Quel est le système de multiplication et de distribution de semences amélioré qui existe? À ce niveau, il faut dire qu'il y a plusieurs intervenants. Il y a des sélectionneurs qui sont soit des instituts nationaux ou internationaux de recherche qui interviennent pour la production de semences de pré-base. Ces semences de pré-base sont multipliées encore au niveau de ces mêmes acteurs pour l'obtention de semences de base ou R1. Ensuite, ces semences de base R1 sont transmises à des compagnies sémencières et productrices ou à des producteurs sémenciers qui vont les multiplier pour obtenir la R2. Et ces semences R2 sont encore multipliées au niveau de ces mêmes acteurs pour obtenir des semences certifiées qui seront donc vulgarisées au niveau des producteurs de blé. Quelles recommandations pouvons-nous apporter à des producteurs au niveau de la préparation du sol, c'est-à-dire avant le semer? Nous pouvons leur dire qu'il faut faire un labour profond, il faut faire du herçage ou du planage pour bien casser les mottes de terre. Il faut réaliser pour le blé irrigué, il faut réaliser des canaux tertiaires pour pouvoir apporter l'eau aux parcelles au moment d'irriguer. Et comme autre recommandation qui n'est pas forcément liée à la préparation du terre, nous avons fait ressortir la nécessité de rechercher la bonne variété adaptée donc aux conditions culturelles du milieu et la bonne sémence à utiliser. Quel paquet technologique pouvons-nous déployer au cours de la saison culturelle? Donc, quelques aspects techniques ont été ressortis, en l'occurrence la période de semis, de novembre à décembre, nous avons dit, mais la période culturelle s'étend elle-même de novembre à mars pour les régions où il fait chaud. En termes de quantité de semences, c'est de 100 kg à l'hectare. Si nous voulons planter en ligne, donc des plantations bien ordonnées qui permettent de faciliter l'entretien, l'apport des engrais également. La profondeur des semis est estimée à 4-5 cm. L'espacement entre les poquets à 5-6 cm et l'espacement des lignes est estimé à 20-25 cm. En ce qui concerne la gestion intégrée des cultures et la fertilité des sols, au niveau des besoins en fertilisation, le blé a besoin de phosphore et d'azote. Le phosphore peut être appliqué une seule fois parce qu'il n'est pas volatile au semis à raison de 100 kg à l'hectare. L'azote, on l'a dit, c'était 2 applications parce qu'il est volatile. Donc la première application environ 3 semaines après le semis et la seconde 4 à 6 semaines après le semis. La quantité à appliquer est d'environ 200 kg à l'hectare. Il faut noter que pour toutes ces quantités, il est préférable de faire à l'avance des analyses de sol et d'ajuster les quantités que nous venons de donner aux résultats de ces analyses. En ce qui concerne la gestion de l'eau, d'après nos calculs, environ 2400 m3 d'eau est nécessaire pour les besoins en irrigation en ce qui concerne le blé irrigué. Donc, la méthode d'irrigation est gravitaire, comme nous l'avons dit, à partir des canaux tertiaires tracés. Et il est préférable de faire cette irrigation le soir. La fréquence donnée par le formateur était de 6 à 10 jours. Et ensuite, au niveau des étapes critiques par rapport à la gestion de l'eau, nous en avons identifié 3. Le stade levé, le stade montaison et le stade floraison. Quelles sont les mesures de protection intégrée des cultures que nous pouvons conseiller aux producteurs? Au niveau de la gestion intégrée des ravageurs, c'est-à-dire la gestion vue d'une manière globale, il faut dire que c'est une stratégie efficace et écologique qui implique la combinaison de plusieurs méthodes de lutte. Donc, on a l'application des bonnes méthodes culturelles telles que l'utilisation des variétés améliorées et résistantes, les bons labos, etc. Mais il y a également l'utilisation des méthodes biologiques et des méthodes chimiques. Nous verrons différents ravageurs de cultures à présent. Au niveau des maladies, la rouille et le charbon sont les principales maladies du blé. Mais également, il peut y avoir les taches de septoriose ou encore la brûlure de l'épi. Comme mesure de contrôle préconisée, il y a d'abord la mise en œuvre de toute la stratégie de gestion intégrée des maladies et en particulier, nous pouvons faire ressortir l'utilisation de variétés de blé résistantes à ces maladies, l'utilisation des semences certifiées de blé, la gestion des plantes hôtes pour les éliminer, les plantes hôtes donc qui peuvent abriter des maladies ou des vecteurs de maladies, le traitement des semences, la rotation des cultures. À ce niveau, il a été dit que le blé fait après le riz était l'idéal parce que les maladies du blé n'infectaient pas le riz. Donc, il faut préconiser la rotation des cultures et, au cas échéant, en dernier ressort, l'utilisation des fongicides homologués. Quels sont les principaux ravageurs que nous pouvons rencontrer au niveau du blé? Comme ravageurs, nous pouvons citer les pucerons, les termites, les vers gris, les asticots, la chenille légionnaire, les ravageurs et les oiseaux, tels que le kéla à bec rouge. Les mêmes méthodes de gestion intégrée des cultures sont à promouvoir également avec la gestion ou l'élimination des plantes hôtes, la gestion des mauvaises herbes, l'application de produits chimiques homologués en dernier recours. En ce qui concerne les mauvaises herbes, les mauvaises herbes que l'on peut trouver au milieu des cultures sont donc les graminées, les dicotylédones. Et comme mesure de contrôle, nous avons toujours l'application des stratégies de gestion. Nous avons la mise en place d'une bonne densité au niveau des cultures pour réduire donc l'espace de développement des mauvaises herbes. Nous avons le désherbage manuel, systématique lorsque nous rencontrons les mauvaises herbes dans les cultures ou l'application d'herbicides homologués sur les superficies sont trop grandes pour le désherbage manuel. En ce qui concerne les paquets technologiques de récolte et de post-récolte du blé, il faut dire que la récolte du blé commence à partir d'un taux d'humidité de 18 à 20%. Donc, comme le formateur nous l'a dit, nous l'a montré, pour reconnaître que le blé est arrivé à maturité, il suffit de froisser un épi ou un grain, et puis s'il est cassant sous les dents, si on peut le casser en deux, juste avec une seule pression, alors le blé est arrivé à maturité et on peut faire la récolte. Mais pour cela, il faut faire plusieurs points de prélèvement dans la superficie. Donc, en termes de post-récolte, il faut sécher le blé pour le ramener à un taux de 13%. Il faut utiliser également des sacs de conditionnement adéquats qui présentent pour la plupart des sachets à l'intérieur, des sachets doublés à l'intérieur pour empêcher l'entrée ou même la prolifération des insectes. Voilà, je voulais vous remercier pour votre présentation. C'était l'essentiel de nos travaux. Merci.
Or even harsher environment, that means where it is more than 38 to 40. Good examples were given to us on what's happening in Ethiopia and Sudan, where from 200 tons, they are now beginning to produce almost about 400,000 tons. Now, we have what is the merit of growing wheat tolerant varieties. Then again, because they are high yielding. Why are they high yielding? Because they resist the diseases and pests that will have affected them during the rainy season, leading to low economy production. Economies for production. And we also have the one we are talking about, the current varieties that have been developed by researchers. They are early maturing. But finally, they have good baking and milling quality. Why are we talking about wheat tolerant varieties here? Heat tolerant varieties. We are talking about heat tolerant varieties that being planted in Africa because wheat is traditional to Africa. It's not that maybe it's an alien crop. But from development of research, the heat-tolerant varieties have been developed to make it attractive in Africa to our farmers for improvement of income and family income. Who are the agencies responsible for production of different types of seed? In case we want to know, we have institutions. For example, in Nigeria, we have Institute of Agriculture and Research at training in Zaria. There is an institute that produces wheat in the Lakeshard. These are institutions. And also have private sectors, public and private sectors. That means you and me, we can come back together and produce it. So cooperatives and cooperatives associations, seed producers, farmers and local traders. It is now farmers have been encouraged in Nigeria not to produce their own seed. But that is still in the roadmap. So that at least when they produce their seed, they can also make income from them. They will know that this is true to type variety. They will not buy seed. They will not buy grain instead of seed. There's a difference between grain and seed. The one that they will go and cook, some people will buy grains and they call it seed. And when they sow it, instead of 90% germination, you'll be seeing 40-30% germination. And that's one of the problems African farmers have been facing before now.
Now, different classes of wheat seed production. We have variety development, evaluation, and release. Number one, we have the breeder, which we call the nucleus. I'm going to tell you the percentage of purity in the subsequent as I'm going. We have the pre-basic seed, which is the same thing as breeder seed. We have the basic foundation seed, which will be given, which will be used to produce certified seed. And then lastly, we have the certified seed, which is given to farmers to plant and generate income. Now, different classes of wheat seed production, as I was telling you before, continues. The breeder nucleus seed is a has genetic purity of 100%. This is the one that researchers used to use. And for you to differentiate between the color of the pre-basic seed and others, there are the bags are labeled. For genetic purity, for the nucleus of breeder seed, it is the color of the bag is golden yellow. For pre-basic foundation seed, the genetic purity is 100% also. And the color of the certificate on the certification bag is white. But for certified seed, the genetic purity is 99.5%. Sorry for the typographical error. And the color of certification bag is blue. So you can differentiate between them when they are kept. So that why do we do that? So that farmer will know from that internationally, anyone that you see in golden yellow, you know it's pre-basic. So it is international. Anyone you see that's in blue bag, you know it is certified. Anyone you see in white, you know it is foundation. So you don't put down your money for that. So now recommendation for land preparation. One of the first thing is, after preparing your land, before you prepare your land, you need to test the soil. So that you don't lose, because when you want to do, for example, if you want to clear your land and do plowing and harrowing, if you go and do plowing and harrowing before testing, you are likely to spend more money, buy more fertilizers, and sometimes lime. So the seedbed depth is, when you want to prepare your bed, there are different ways to prepare it, but today we encourage mechanization, where you can use tractor, power tillers, and the rest. But then at the same time, we can still use tools, basic tools, to produce our bed, as our father we used to do. But the essential thing is, the depth of the seedbed should be 4 to 5 centimeters. The depth, the height of the bed. And the row spacing should be that means intra, within the row, it should be 4 to 5 centimeters. But the spacing between holes, that means from plant to plant, is 5 to 7 centimeters. Quantity of seed needed. If you are drilling is like as maybe you are following an open channel and you are spraying in a straight line. But when it's going, it's dropping 1 at the same interval. That's what we call drilling. But for broadcasting that you spray, you know it will waste more seed. And spacing is not taken into cognizance. Because on three seeds can drop in one will drop in a place. That's why broadcasting is not encouraged. Because these very crop tillers a lot. So if you have 3 crops in the same time, it means they will shock each other. And it will be difficult for you to thin. And if you want to thin, it will give you much more labor. So we move ahead. 1 grain per hole if it is what? If it is drilling place. In season, what do we mean by in season with technology packages training? In season has to do with when the season begins, during the season, on the farm. And it has to do with these three things, components. Planting, the management of the crop when they are growing, and then harvesting and post-harvesting activities. Now, what do we do at the crop management after planting? I've just spoken about how you plant, the spacing, the number of holes. So I go straight to crop management. You don't plant wheat on any ordinary soil. Wheat thrives in two major soil types: the sandy loam and the clay loam, depending on the type that is within your own area and location. And as we said earlier, under the temperature of 40 degrees centigrade, 38 to 40 degrees centigrade, it requires about 450 millimeters of rain or humidity to grow. That is to say, it needs very little water compared to rice. As I said earlier, what is the time of sowing? The time of sowing varies in sub-Saharan Africa, where we are. It starts from November through March. And you will remember, this is Harmattan period, a cold time. Because ideally, in the Western countries where these things are grown, they are temperate countries that are very cold. So that's why they irrigated, that's why we irrigate, that is why we are planting in that same period, because of the cold weather. And why do we call it irrigated wheat? Because it's planted during the dry season. So you cannot be irrigating during the rainy season. We call it rain-fed, the opposite of irrigated. So it is timely. When you sow timely, it prevents extreme heat influence. Because once you are moving from March, then from March, and you are going to April, the more, because of the onset of rain, you will see that the temperature will be going higher and higher until it starts raining. So that is why it is time specific for proper management and for you to get the best yield. Then wheat matures between 90 to 100 days before harvesting. That is the optimum time. There are some, okay, so before harvesting, which is done when the moisture content is between 18 to 20%. And how do you know that it has matured? As we were told yesterday, you can test it with your mouth. So just pick a seed and you try to break it. When it is drawing, it means it's not yet mature. But when you break it and it breaks, then it means it's mature. And it's good you don't allow it to waste too long on the field. Because it's not only because some of the reasons because extreme temperature will affect it. Number two, the seed will start dropping. And you start wasting the seed. Because when the wind is blowing like this, there's some of the things, because it's over dry, to be dropping. Nutrient requirements of irrigated wheat. Essential mineral elements needed for optimum and economic growth and yield are nitrogen and phosphorus, as we were told. We call it essential because it's not only these two. There are other elements that are needed in trace form, but they are traces. So we don't bother to talk about them. They're minor. And this has to be used in adequate quantity because if you overuse them, it may have another residual effect.
Nous sommes entièrement satisfaits de ce qui s'est passé. les fleurs ont tenu vraiment la promesse. Donc, en quittant d'ici, je suis très certain que cette formation nous a permis vraiment de renforcer nos capacités dans la mise en œuvre du PIDACC, et notamment les sous-projets dans le cadre du programme PIDACC. Et aussi, cette formation, plus loin, va nous aider, pour ce qui est du Cameroun, à renforcer les capacités d'une société qui a été mise en place il y a de cela plusieurs années, dans l'ancien régime, qu'on appelle Sodéblé. Donc, je souhaite vraiment que ces échanges, que les échanges se poursuivent, notamment à travers la Banque africaine de développement, pour pouvoir relever les défis concernant spécialement la filière blé, qui constitue aujourd'hui un enjeu de taille internationale. Donc, nous voulons par la suite que les actes suivent par rapport à cet atelier. Que les recommandations soient prises en compte. Toutes les recommandations qui sortiront d'ici soient prises en compte afin que le développement ait lieu vraiment dans le bassin du Niger et que nos populations, nos petits producteurs, surtout dans le domaine de l'agriculture, puissent véritablement décoller et nourrir les populations de nos différents pays constitutifs du bassin du Niger. Merci, je vous remercie.
Je viens de finir la formation sur le compact blé. J'avoue que cette formation a été impeccable. Le formateur a été de taille, avec une pédagogie qui facilite la compréhension. Les débats ont été très enrichissants, ça a permis de lever tous les points d'ombre. Et j'ai compris qu'à l'issue de cette formation-là, on peut commencer la formation sur le terrain, on peut commencer la promotion du blé, mais à petite échelle au niveau du PIDACC, à travers les sous-projets de développement des chaînes de valeur agricole. Et c'est à ce niveau-là que nous souhaiterions que la coordination régionale, avec l'implication de l'ABN et de TAAT, échange avec la BAD, sollicite auprès de la BAD son accompagnement pour la création des chaînes de valeur au niveau PIDACC, la création des champs de démonstration qui permettra à petite échelle d'intéresser les paysans et par-delà de faire la promotion du blé dans le pays. Parce que la promotion, elle ne viendra pas du coup, elle ne viendra pas du sommet, mais elle viendra à petite échelle à partir des champs de démonstration. Je suis très averti, je suis bien formé. Merci ABN, merci TAAT et merci PIDACC.
Nous venons de terminer une formation sur le compact blé. Il faut dire que le blé, c'est une culture qui n'est pas cultivée au niveau de notre pays. Il y a quelques poches d'essai, il est vrai, mais le blé n'est pas véritablement cultivé. Donc, ça a été vraiment une découverte. Et nous avons été heureux de savoir que le blé peut être également mis en place, cultivé, récolté avec de bons rendements en Côte d'Ivoire, tout en choisissant les bonnes zones, les zones adaptées. Donc c'est une formation que nous serions ravis de pouvoir mettre en œuvre de retour dans notre pays, en espérant avoir le financement, l'accompagnement nécessaire pour mobiliser tous les acteurs qui doivent donc intervenir et permettre que cette production devienne une réalité au niveau du pays et ainsi ouvrir les yeux sur les populations rurales, sur les différentes structures de recherche et autres, et également sur les politiques, sur l'administration. Donc ouvrir les yeux des uns et des autres sur la possibilité de pouvoir produire et consommer nous-mêmes notre blé. Donc je voudrais remercier par ce biais l'ABN, la BAD, le TAAT et tous les formateurs qui ont pris part à cet important événement. Merci.